My name is Lynn Baumgartner. I'm one of the school counselors here, and I just want to introduce my fellow colleagues. This is Lauren Gagnon. This is our first year with us. She's replacing Jen Lunetta. Ashley Kaplan is another counselor, Candace Galarno, and Amy Knapp. All right, so tonight, Ashley and I will be the perfect example of coordination. She'll be running the show back there, and I'll be talking. So we'll wait for her to get back there. But tonight, really, what we're going to be doing is talking all about the college application process. So this is I'll just tell you now, this is a very large and overwhelming process. We feel it as counselors, and we're not the ones going through it. So we know that your students can get easily overwhelmed, and that's why we like to have this night so parents are on the same page and can see all the steps that the students have to go through. So when you're at home assisting your students with this process, you also know what's going on. So before we begin and delve into the actual applications and a review of Naviance, I just want to review some of our upcoming events. So from right now through October, we are doing individual meetings with your seniors during the school day. So all of us have sent out invitations with a calendar to have them sign up, preferably on their free block, to come in and go over all of this information. So I can only speak for myself, but I'll say when I sent it out, I got about 10 replies immediately and nothing since then. So you might want to remind your students that they want to sign up for that meeting. Now, I will say that is not the only meeting. Some students get nervous that like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready yet. I'm going to meet with you and that's it. That is totally not the case. As I told one of my students today, this is just our initial meeting to go over the process. But I want you to keep checking in with me. I want you to keep making appointments with me. And we tend to schedule more than one appointment to go through things. Sometimes it's easier to break up the process in little chunks than doing the whole thing all at once. So whatever your students need, we are very flexible. On Monday, from 4 to 7, actually I think it's 3:15 to 7 in the library classroom, we're having another one of our drop-in college application help days. So we had this at the very end of August before school started. It was very well attended. This is a chance for students to come in with their charged Chromebook, and if they haven't started anything, we're going to help them get started. If they have started their applications, all of the counselors will be there circulating, and it's a great time for them to ask us questions that's not during the school day. And it's also time to schedule themselves to work on it, because with, it's the first day of school, people have sporting events, they have things after school, they have part-time jobs. We know that can get hectic, so sometimes just having that nice pre-scheduled time to work on it is great. People bring their friends, parents are welcome to attend, so that will be Monday. Then open house is already next Thursday night, which we invite you to come and meet all of your children's teachers. On the 24th, during the day, we are going to be having a Writing the College Essay presentation. So we have a representative from SUNY Albany coming. It's during the day, so it's right at the end of first block and into homeroom, so students won't hopefully miss too much class. And the representative is going to be talking about what are we looking for in the essay. I will say that the essay is probably the most stressful piece I find in students' report of the application process. All the other pieces, a lot are reporting information. You're reporting your activities, your grades, your address. But this is the most personal. This is where college admissions want to find out something from you that maybe they can't tell right away from an application. They want to get to know you. So therefore, it's probably the most stressful. So we've been doing this for a couple of years now. It's great. The person will talk through what they're looking for, give examples, and answer questions. On October 9th, we are going to have a virtual college financial aid program where we'll have a representative from RPI's financial aid office who is an expert on all things financial aid, whereas we are not. So they will come and you could turn in virtually and go through the entire process. Eventually, we will be having a completing the FAFSA day that will send more information out, which is more of a hands-on. This is more financial aid in general, and you'll get to ask questions. Then on 10/23, October 23rd, during the school day for students, we're going to have what's called an instant admit day. So anyone applying to local colleges, Hudson Valley, Schenectady, Maria, Sage, Albany, Albany College of Pharmacy, Siena. Yes. We will have students sign up with us ahead of time. We'll have students complete application, whatever paperwork necessary ahead of time. We make appointments for them on that day. It's a really awesome day. All the colleges convene in the LGI. They have their own tables. We have a waiting room, and students come in and basically interview with these admissions reps. And with the exception of SUNY Albany, they are given an admission decision right on the spot. It's free. You don't have to do anything. It's during the school day. SUNY Albany is a transcript review. So what that means is they will review your transcript and then tell you if you apply tomorrow or during our free SUNY application week, you would either likely be admitted or these might be things that we're still looking for from you. And that brings me to the last week of October, a little more than a week. SUNY is having its annual free application week. It's a great opportunity. College applications can be very costly, and you can apply up to 5 SUNY schools for free. So it's a great opportunity. Even if you haven't visited yet, it's free. Hit the submit button, and then if you get accepted, you can visit in the spring or even later in the fall. So what we're going to do now is get into a review of Naviance. So you may remember Naviance from the freshman conference or junior conference. Naviance is a web-based platform that we have been using with your students since 9th grade. In 9th and 10th grade, it's mostly career exploration. Last year, it was a lot of college exploration, interest inventories, and the main purpose this year is it's the vehicle through which we send all of the college materials to college. So it's how the counselors send their transcripts, letters of recommendations. It's how teachers send their letters of recommendation. We send it through Naviance. So we just want to do a little review of all the things that you can find in Naviance, and we'll work through them. So going to Naviance, you're going to go to the web page, and then you're going to scroll down to the bottom to the Counseling Center. And then you're going to click on the High School Counseling Center site. And then second one down, looking for Naviance, click here. And then Ms. Kaplan's already signed in, but we are going to have your students sign in with Clever, so they don't even need to remember a password or username. And this is for students, but if you are interested in parents to have access, you can let us know, and we can have our registrar create an account for you. So this is what the platform looks like. So there's a couple different things I want to talk about before we get to the college applications. One is if you go up to the top right-hand corner to About Me, the first thing I want to show you is the resume. So once you go on the resume, students won't see anything. They have to remember to click on Access Previous Resume Builder. So the resume that they've been updating since freshman year kind of has been phasing out, but they still have access to it. So don't panic if they log in and they don't see anything right away. They just have to click that. So hopefully over the years we have been encouraging them to update their activity resume. So this can include everything from your work, your job, your part-time job, your education goals, the clubs you're in, sports teams, volunteer work, anything like that. And you would just go about hitting the plus button there, and it gives you all the categories, and you go in, and that's how you update it. So many students we worked with last year at the junior conference to update during that conference or right after. So they may have done things in the spring or over the summer, or they're doing things currently that they want to update. This is really important because we use this a lot, not only to help us, refer to when writing the recommendation, but also for scholarships and award committees that we sit on. Teachers might like this, and it's great because you can print it out and you have a professional resume that you can use for a part-time job, or when it's scholarship season, you're applying to all those scholarships, they might ask for a resume, and here you have it. It's all looking great, and you can print it out and submit it. Yes?
Do you guys do cover letters too?
The question is, do we do cover letters? We don't do that. This is purely for college purposes. However, students have used that for part-time jobs as well. But certainly if they would like to do a cover letter, they can see us and we can help them with that. Under the About Me, under documents shared with me, we will be uploading their official transcript with their official GPA. Hopefully that will be sometime early next week, so they will always have access to this. So sometimes students need a copy of that, or they're not sure, or they have to enter all their classes. It's right here for them if they're at home. They don't need to access us to get that. We've been meeting with our seniors. Some are still looking for colleges. They're like, well, I have a few, but I'm not really sure. One of the ways that they can still look at this is the advanced college search. So it never hurts to do this search, which there are a ton of different categories at the top. These are parameters that you can use. A very simple way to start would be location, type of college. I'm talking really fast. Sorry, Ms. Gafflin. and major. So you can see with location, you can click off one state or a whole bunch of states. I will say that the more states you do, the more results you're going to get. So sometimes you might want to start out slow. And then the major, that's an important one to make sure a school has what you're looking for. There are other parameters, of course, and the more specific you get, I think the better results, but that's a good place to start. Some students are still uncertain. They're like, I'm really having a hard time because I still don't know what I want to major in. Totally typical, normal. Not everyone knows. And even people who think they know, they may not really know. So we have been having them do what we call some career interest inventories. There are a variety of them. If you go to the self-discovery tab, there are all sorts that they can do, even if they've taken it again. They can do them more than once, with the exception, I believe, of the Strengths Explorer. So it gives great information. Most of it is on the work, based on the work of Holland, who believe there were 6 work personalities and career clusters that go in each. So you can look up all sorts of wonderful things here. You get ideas, and you can explore careers in greater detail. The next thing I want to talk about is teacher recommendations. So in the spring, hopefully, your child approached a teacher in person and asked for a recommendation. If they have not done that yet, they still have time, although I would encourage them to do that rather sooner than later, because we want to give teachers enough time to write them. So if they and it's very important that they ask the teacher in person. Many things in this world can be done through email, but this is something that we'd want them to approach in person. So after they ask a teacher 1 or 2, depending on what their colleges are looking for, we do suggest 2, but some colleges may not require that many. We're going to go to colleges, letters of recommendation. And this is how you're going to add the teacher to Naviance. So Naviance, Mrs. Knapp is going to talk about this when she goes to the Common App, but Naviance will eventually be matched to your college application. It'll be linked up, so wherever your application goes, all of our supporting materials go with it. So to do that, though, we have to put all of our colleges and the teacher that we want to write the recommendation in here. So this student did we put one in yet? Okay, we can. We can go to the drop-down column and say Mr. Canali, who retired, would love to get requests from students for recommendations. So we're going to hit select all. Now, you can see there, the important thing about this is how one way you're going to see how many recommendations a college is requiring. So you can see for American, 1 is required, 2 is allowed. So if you've asked 2 teachers, you're allowed to send both. Some schools, Binghamton comes to mind, they only accept 1. So if you have asked 2 teachers to write your recommendation, you are going to have to choose which teacher will send the Binghamton recommendation and then enter that. One of the most important things that I want to stress about this is that this student has 3 schools in there. Great. We went in, we added a teacher. If the student applies to more colleges, they have to come back to this page and add the teacher to those new colleges. Naviance does not automatically add a teacher to any schools you add after this process. So it's super important to remember that you have to go back in when you add colleges and add the teacher. Otherwise, your transcript will go, but your teacher won't. And then you may be waiting, and the colleges will still be saying, I'm waiting on the teacher recommendation because you haven't gone back in. We will remind your student of this many times, but it's also good as parents to know as well. I think that's the part. So Mrs. Knapp now is going to go through the Common App, and, oh, you have a question? Yep.
Our student's teacher said that they've already written one.
Okay.
Is there any way for our daughter to go into Naviance and see, like, oh yeah, I got a pending recommendation that's already been written?
Good question. So the question is, his daughter's teacher already told her that he wrote it and that it was in Naviance. Is there a way for him to... Is there a way for her to go in and see? So if your daughter has already put the teacher's name in there and is assigned to that teacher, the teacher can then upload it and it can show as pending. But if she has not added his name yet, you won't be able to see it. She has to put the teacher's name in first.
So he writes it, and then she needs to just select.
Yep. 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 Go ahead.
Is there a place for someone that isn't a teacher, besides the staff, or even like a coach, or even an employer, or anything like that?
Right, good question. The question is, can someone outside of school, like a coach or an employer, write a recommendation? Absolutely. They just wouldn't go through Naviance because this is only for people from our school who have Gildan emails, but there are other ways, and you can probably in the Common App show you, you can add recommenders in the Common App. Yes?
Credits that they've gotten from colleges, like if they took that pre-engineering class and using that credit technology, does that go into the Common App or does that go into Naviance?
That's a good question. So any college credits that you've taken dual enrollment in high school, where you've earned high school credit and college credit, do those credits show up in Naviance or the Common App? So it's not in Naviance. That will be covered in the Common App-ish. But Mrs. App's going to talk about that piece. But yes, not in Naviance. Naviance, really, the student always, some students will come in and they say, I have to apply through Naviance. You're not applying through Naviance. I always think of it, this is the car that or the Amazon truck that I'm sending all of your materials and it's going to go somewhere. It's not the vehicle through which you apply to college and put all the information, if that makes sense. Yep. Mrs. App's going to make it all more clear. She is.
Thank you. So we are going to take a look at the Common App, and we'll take a brief look at how to get to the SUNY app also. Let me remind you that the counselors are all meeting with the students individually. I'm going to try to find the balance between enough information and not too much information tonight. So I think you're still going to end up having questions, but don't worry, we're going to go over all of that with our students. Not everybody may be using the Common App, so that if you're sitting in the audience and you're not planning on using the Common App, bear with me. We are going to talk a little bit about the application for if you're just applying to SUNY schools or if you're applying to Hudson Valley and that kind of thing. Okay, so Common App, students create their own account, and fortunately Ms. Kaplan created an account so that we can go through the different steps, but it's just a pretty basic application process. You put in your name and address and phone number and contact information and when you're applying to school, and then they have an account. So from there is a dashboard. I usually, if a student's sitting with me when we are creating the Common App, we'll go straight to the profile and fill out the profile information because it still is kind of basic. It's do you have an alternate phone number and just really basic things about the student. The part that they are going to absolutely need you for is the family part. It asks questions about your parents and what kind of education they had, and if they went to college, where did they graduate from, and what year did they graduate. And when my son applied to college, I couldn't do my husband's part because I'm thinking, I'm not sure what year my husband graduated from undergraduate. So they are going to need your help to fill out this part on the Common Application. I don't generally go over this with the student because I don't know whether the information's correct or not, so we have to trust you guys to help with that part. The part that I do go over with every student is the education part, and we strongly request that a student not submit their application until we have sat with them and looked at the education part. Some students I've been sitting with, they started a Common App last year so that they could see what it was like. Great. Except that they put in their courses from last year, and I'm like, where did those courses come from? They were last year's courses because it said, what are your current courses? So they filled it out with 11th grade courses. The application is looking for 12th grade courses. So sometimes students think, oh, I'm all done. They have a green check. They were done last year, sort of, but they're not done this year. So I want to go over that part with them. Also, students have been making up numbers for how many students are in the class. We don't have a definitive number yet, but we're somewhere around 360. We've seen 200, we've seen 475, all different kinds of things. And we want the information that the students are submitting to match the information that we're submitting. Anything that's too much of a discrepancy raises a question on the college's end. So we want colleges to have reasons to accept students, not reasons to question students' applications. We'll go through and put all of their courses in, but students get a little bit confused. Most of the courses that we offer here, we consider college prep courses. So I had a student put in physiology, and they said that, I have a lot of students who say this, and it's a regular course. It's really a college prep course. It is helping them prepare for college. It may not be a dual enrollment course, meaning they're getting college credit, but it is helping prepare them for college, so that we want to show their strongest program. So they're just things that we want to go over with them. I've had students submit only the courses they were getting college credit for, so it says they're taking 2 courses this year. Well, I don't think a college would be very happy if a student were only taking 2 courses this year. So I'm just giving these examples to try to emphasize the importance of, please don't submit your application until the counselor has had a chance to take a look at the education section. The other one piece of the pie of the education section. I'm sorry, Ms. Kaplan, I'm just like free thinking right now. So just, there's a part where it asks for colleges and universities that you've attended. So this gets a little bit confusing. There's only room for 3 colleges. We have a lot of students who take dual enrollment courses while they're in high school, and they have more than 3 colleges. The part that makes this confusing is you can put those colleges down here, but some colleges where you're applying will not consider the application complete until they have received a transcript from that college. So you take pre-calculus through Schenectady, you pay for the credit, and you put that down on here, and then the college is waiting for a transcript from Schenectady with pre-calculus on it. I have had students whose applications have been deactivated because they never got the college transcript. I try to reserve this for opportunities where students have not taken the course through us in high school. So a lot of students have been taking courses at Hudson Valley over the summer recently, a lot of online courses. That I would put on here because there's no place that it shows that on our high school transcript. But our high school transcript is going to show pre-calculus and college writing and college economics and all of the courses that they are taking here that are dual enrollment courses. So I personally recommend that you reserve this space just for things that aren't reflected on the high school transcript. But it is entirely up to the student. Some students are like, no, I want it to stand out on my application that I've done college level work. With every application we send, we also send a high school profile, and it lists all of the courses that we offer that are for dual enrollment, so the colleges do get that information. Most of our college level classes also have college in the title, so it does stand out on the transcript as well. But it is entirely up to you as a family how you want to handle those college credit courses. Okay, I think I'm ready to jump to FERPA. You have to put a college into Common App before you can get to this FERPA thing. FERPA stands for Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. Means that you as a family do have the legal right to ask to see recommendations that have been written on the student's behalf. Colleges prefer that you not see them. If you don't waive your right, sometimes that means that a student might have been concerned that a teacher would say something about them that they didn't want the colleges to know, so it can raise a red flag at the other end. The other thing is that it gives a little bit more credibility to the recommendation if you have waived the right to see it. I will say that, at least here at Guilderland High School, if a teacher is not comfortable writing a letter of recommendation for a student, they'll say, I'm not sure I'm the best person to write your letter. Is there someone else you can ask? They won't write a negative letter. So generally, I would say students do not need to be concerned about teachers saying things about them that they don't want said. But it is entirely up to the family whether you do choose to waive your right or not. Once you have filled out this FERPA part, it also gives us permission to send in information, which we kind of have to do. Once you have filled that out, then you can link Naviance with your Common App. You're basically giving Common App permission to talk to Naviance. This is where it gets a little bit tricky with the whole college thing. If you enter colleges into your Common App, they do automatically go into Naviance. If you remove colleges from your Common App, they do not automatically get removed from Naviance. So I do encourage students, until you're sure whether you're applying to a college or not, maybe don't put it in your Common App, and then put it in once you're sure you're applying, since it will travel into Naviance. But this is how students end up missing the requesting a teacher recommendation part, because they've added it to Common App, they think they're all set, but they never requested the recommendation in Naviance. And without requesting the recommendation in Naviance, they're not giving the college permission to access that recommendation. So that's why they have to request it in Naviance. And I feel like I've just hit the point where I'm giving you too much information. We are going to go over this with students again. If you can just remember as parents, if your kids are adding colleges later, say, did you request that letter of recommendation from your teacher, to hopefully help them remember to do it. Okay. So Common App, there are different parts. There's an essay. At the very end, some colleges do want you to put in your courses. That's what the transcript is good for. You can put in all of that individual information, that what you took in 9th grade, what you took in 10th grade, that kind of thing. Most colleges, fortunately, are not requesting that, but that could be a part of the application. Each college does have individual questions that you have to answer. So you're not done once you're doing all those major sections. You have to click on each college, and then you will have things like, do you want to live on campus? Are you applying early action? What's your major? And some other, every college has different questions. But you're not done until you do that part. You can't actually submit without that part. But sometimes students are working up until the last minute. Let's help them remember that there's that part to do too. Okay? This was totally too much information. I get that. So just know that we are talking with everybody individually, and you can always reach out with questions about this if you have questions. Okay? Yes?
So, quick question. So if a student is interested in doing an early decision for one school and then not for the other, and obviously they have different due dates, is it possible, I assume it is, to submit for one and then come back and then finish the other?
Absolutely. So the question was, can you submit one application, then come back for others? The question was actually related to early decision, which I can talk about in a minute. But it doesn't matter. You're submitting one application at a time, so that you can submit them all roughly at the same time, just go through the whole list, or you can submit one for early decision or early action, and you can still have others that you're waiting to submit in a week or two or a month or whatever it is. So let me talk a little bit about early decision, early action. You've probably heard this before, but just as a reminder, early decision, you are telling the college that if they accept you, you're going there. As counselors, once you've been accepted to a college early decision, we are not actually allowed, professionally, we're not allowed to continue to submit application materials on your behalf. We do have you sign an early decision agreement with us so that we know that you know that. There's also an early decision agreement that you will sign as part of the common application. Now that is different from early action. Early action, you're not making a commitment to attend the college, you're just applying early, And you're hearing back early, so you don't have to wait until March or April to hear back. You generally hear back late December, early January. In general, you can apply to as many early action colleges as you want. Prior to getting your decision about an early decision college, you can apply to as many colleges as you want. But once you've been accepted early decision, unless you somehow get out of that early decision agreement, we are not supposed to submit additional materials for you. The advantage to early decision is sometimes it can help a little bit with the application process with the admissions. They know you're making a commitment to them. They may be more likely to make a commitment to you, but you don't get to compare financial aid packages. So you got to be sure if you're applying early decision that that is really your top choice. You had a question.
Okay, so the early action, they can apply to, say, 20 colleges. And the one thing that the college will say, hey, we want you, but they will not tell you whatsoever with financial aid. So if you need college financial aid, you kind of have to, how's that kind of work out?
So generally, the question had to do with financial aid and applying early action and early decision. Generally, you apply for financial aid at the same time you're applying for admission, or roughly at the same time. The deadlines are similar. With the early deadlines, sometimes it's not exactly the same deadline. Sometimes you have an extra 2 weeks to submit your financial information. Generally, colleges do want to give you a financial package when they offer you admission. So that's why it's roughly the same, even though their regular deadline for submitting financial aid, your financial aid forms might not be until February 1st. If you're applying early action, it could be November 1st or November 15th. So it's true with early decision. You might want to fill out the net price calculator on their website to get a general idea of what your financial aid package might look like before you commit to the early decision if you don't have the money set aside. But some colleges are more generous with financial aid when you apply early decision, not less generous. And it varies from college to college. So unfortunately, I can't say, oh, apply early decision, you'll get more money, or don't apply early decision, you won't get as much money. It's different for every school. And it may be different this year also. I'm hoping the professional from RPI can shed a little light on that next month. Okay? Yes.
With that in mind, when our kids get the financial aid package, is that set in stone, or they can change it anytime they want?
So the question is when you get the financial aid package, is that a done deal? So from their perspective, from the college's perspective, they're not likely to withdraw that offer. But if you need to negotiate, it's not quite enough, but you really want to go to school there, sometimes colleges can negotiate. It really depends how many students have accepted their offers and what kind of money is left. So it doesn't have to be a done deal from your perspective, but it might be a done deal. I can't promise that, oh, if you go back to UAlbany and say, we need $10,000 more, that they're going to have it to give you. So I would use it as a guideline, at least, and see where you can go from there. Okay. Speaking of UAlbany, I do want to move on to just show you a little bit about the SUNY website. So this is actually a great website. What I use it for the most is the programs, because you can go to the programs tab. If you scroll down a little bit, you can go to undergraduate programs, and then you can type in anything. That's so funny. I was going to say type in nursing. and then sometimes I don't even choose anything else. I just type in nursing and say search, and then I get everything. It has all of those different majors, and some of the letters after it kind of tells you what kind of degree it is, whether it's an associate's degree, that's the A degree, or a bachelor's degree. Associate is 2-year, bachelor's is 4-year. You can open up and see what schools have which program, and it says right in there whether it's an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree. So you can get a lot of information from this to know whether this college even has the program that you're looking for. Then, when you're ready to apply, you can use the Common App to apply to almost every SUNY school. But if you're only applying to SUNY schools, the SUNY application is actually more straightforward, and I would encourage you to use the SUNY application instead if you're only applying to SUNY schools. Once you add one other college to it, you might have to do the Common App anyway, so you might as well use it for the SUNY schools. But on the same page, you click Apply, and it takes you to this. You click on Apply to SUNY, and then you can, well, apparently Ms. Kaplan does have an application, but you kind of just create an application. This is more straightforward than the Common Application, which is really the best reason to use it instead of the Common App. Again, if you're only applying to SUNY schools. I would say most of our students often apply to one other college, and then it makes sense to use the Common Application. Okay. I think, can we jump back into Naviance for a minute? And to, sorry, colleges applying to. There's a little tab there that says match accounts. You don't think you need to necessarily click on it, but that will take you back to Common App. This is to match with the Common App. So it'll take you back to Common App. It gives you Common App permission to talk to Naviance, and then they're linked. And that way, when we submit documents from our end, they get linked to the Common App. There was a question earlier about can you request a letter of recommendation outside of this, and there's a way some colleges, not all colleges, will take a separate letter of recommendation from a coach or a clergy or an employer, and you would request that on the Common App, not through Naviance, and we'll work with students individually on that. It looks complicated. I mean, when you see it, I don't think that it will help you understand it better, even if we were to demonstrate it right now. So we'll just work with students individually on that if they are interested. There is a ton of great information on the Counseling Center website, though. So the first thing would be our calendar. So if you scroll down just on the opening page, if you click on 12th grade calendar, all the things that we talked about before are there. So if you're wondering, oh, is something coming up? We have it there. And this is a live document, so if something changes, we do update that. Although I'm thinking, oh, does it still say 6:30 for tonight? Oh, no, it says 5:30, okay. But, so there are a lot of other good links. If you're back on the home page and you look at the top where it says college, and then college application information. All of the documents that we hand out to students are linked here so that you can get them. So we give them a senior checklist. Some students love this. Some students are like, oh my gosh, one more thing. But it's basically all the things that they have to do as part of their application. Some students really like it because you get to check off things. So you feel like, oh, I'm making progress on this whole thing. Some students are thinking, I can't keep track of one more thing. So this is totally, if it works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, don't use it. We're not trying to burden you with one more thing. There is a LILAC senior reflection. When counselors write a letter of recommendation for students, we want to make it as personal as possible. So we do ask students to fill out this senior reflection. Again, we don't want to burden people. We don't want them to spend too much time doing it. But there's more personal information here. There's a lot that we know about our students. Sometimes they're surprised at how much we know about them. But we also want to give them a chance to contribute to what are we including in the letter of recommendation the colleges are going to see. So we do ask them to fill this out to help us with our letter of recommendation. The yellow transcript request form, we need this. As I said before, you put a college into Common App, it comes over into Naviance, and then you decide you're not applying. Well, it's still in Naviance. Or you are applying to a college that doesn't accept the Common App, and you have to use their own application, but you forgot to put it into Naviance because all your other schools came over through Common App. We use this yellow form to double check and make sure that we know where you're applying. So we insist on students completing this form. There is also a blue teacher recommendation form. I will say very few teachers are using this anymore. Most are relying on the information that is in Naviance, but some teachers still use this blue form to keep track of, oh, did I get all of my letters done, sort of thing. So if a teacher requests this, we have them in the counseling center, and a student can come in and pick one up to give to their teacher. There's also, I mentioned the early decision agreement, and I feel like I missed the brag sheet. Was that higher, or did I accidentally delete the link for it. Okay, so I accidentally deleted the link for the parent brag sheet earlier today. I will get that back up tomorrow because you know your kids the best. And you can also provide information for the counselor to help them write the best letter of recommendation possible. There may be things that your kids have overcome or things that they really shine in outside of school, and for whatever reason, they've never told us about it. There's a lot of information that you can provide that we don't know yet, and I will get the link to that form back up tomorrow. Sorry about that. Oops. One other thing, in terms of scholarship information, I know people are very anxious about how to pay for college these days, and with good reason, because colleges are can be upward of $80,000 a year. So under the colleges tab, there also is financial aid and scholarship information. There are links to the FAFSA. When you're completing the FAFSA, before you get to the end, and this is actually really important, the student has to start the FAFSA process and invite the parent, not the other way around. So the student starts the FAFSA not until after October 1st. There's a form there right now that it looks like you can do it. It's for people who are currently enrolled in college or starting right in the spring. It is not for people starting in the fall. So do not start filling out the form ahead of time. It will be the wrong form. But anyway, once the student starts the application, they invite the parent to join them. And before you get to the end to submit, it asks what state you're from, and then you can put in New York State, so it can also link you to the TAP application. You can do the TAP application separately if you miss that, but it is easier to do it all together. Some of the information will transfer from the FAFSA to the TAP application. There's also a form called the CSS Profile, which is more for private colleges. Not all of them require it, but some do. It's a much lengthier form than the FAFSA. You can't fill that one out until after October 1st as well. Some colleges will have their own forms. Again, I just wanted to give kind of a brief overview of that. We will have much more information about financial aid coming out next month once the forms are available. Okay. What did I miss? So we have quite a few events coming up. We have a college fair coming up, because we didn't put it on here, on September 30th. That will be here. Very similar to the other ones. It will be in the big gym, reps that you can come to talk with. People have a different perspective talking to college reps in fall of their senior year than they did in spring of their junior year. So it is absolutely worth it to come. It's likely that the person here at the fair is the person who's going to be reviewing your application. The more contact you make, when they get that application in their office, they're like, oh, I remember meeting this person. So the more contact you can have, the better off you are. Even if you've been on campus, it doesn't hurt to stop by. But you can ask basic questions. Some of you may be thinking about study abroad. Well, what kind of study abroad programs do you have? How do you choose roommates? There are things that you may want to actually know information about now that you weren't really thinking about in the spring. So it's worth it to come by. If you can't make it on the 30th, there is one at Hudson Valley on this upcoming Monday night. There are also others in the area, so that if you can't make it on the 30th, just like we invite other schools to come to ours, you can attend one at another school, and we can make those dates available to you if you have a problem with the one on the 30th. We do encourage students to kind of be done with their applications by Thanksgiving. Even if you're not applying under some kind of formal early program, early action, early decision, whatever, many colleges are enrolling admission. The earlier you apply generally, the earlier you hear back, so that it's helpful to apply in the fall. Students who are applying under the formal early programs, they are hearing back December, January, so you might want to apply to at least one school under a program where it's either rolling, you hear back within a few weeks, or that you hear back December, January. If you have to wait until March or April to hear from every school, it's a little disconcerting. So we do encourage students to try to apply by Thanksgiving, and that way hopefully you will hear back earlier. We need 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks notice in our office for a variety of reasons. One, we're having to handle applications for all of our seniors at once. So if we don't have 2 weeks lead time, if everybody turned in their application materials the day before they were due, we could not be writing recommendations for 20 people in one night. It generally takes me a few nights to write one recommendation. So please give us as much notice as possible. even if you're not sure exactly where you're applying overall, you can hand in one of those yellow sheets with 3 or 5 colleges, and you can always add to it later. Don't feel like if I don't know exactly where I'm applying to college, I can't hand in that yellow sheet yet. You can hand it in and add colleges after you've handed it in. No, good. Ms. Baumgartner's great. She's like feeding me stuff that I can tell you. So when we send in your transcript, it's just going to have your senior year courses. Some colleges are going to ask for your first quarter grades. You need to request that from us. We don't automatically send first quarter grades. We do automatically send mid-year grades because almost every college wants to see mid-year grades. So we send them out. The beginning of February is when they're available. We will send them out to all four-year colleges. But first quarter grades, if your college is requesting it, you need to let us know so that we will send them in. I want to talk a little bit about the Instant Admit Day. So on October 23rd, Ms. Baumgartner was great. I was so impressed that she remembered all the colleges that would be here because I'm not sure I could have. But so students will sign up for times to come in and meet with reps. They'll sit across the table from them in our LGI. They'll have their applications. They have to complete the applications ahead of time generally. They'll have their application, their transcript, often their health records, and they'll talk with someone. I have someone who said, I want to go to college. I'm not sure what I want to do, so I'm thinking liberal arts. And I said, you know what, this is exactly why we do instant admit, so that you can talk with a college rep about, okay, what kind of advisement is there for me? How can you help me? If I'm just doing a 2-year degree and then I want to transfer, how do I make sure that I have the credits that I need to transfer? These are all great questions to be asking at our Instant Admit Day, so we really encourage students to take advantage of it. The Hudson Valley application is online. It takes about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes to complete. The same with the Schenectady application. So we have students do those ahead of time, and we do schedule them appointments so that they can meet with a rep right there. The nursing program at Siena, they cannot do instant admit for. But if the student wants to just apply to Siena, they can do that for instant admit. Yeah.
I was wondering the difference between the counselor letter of recommendation versus what you talked about earlier with the teachers. Is the counselor one like a required component of the application?
So the question is counselor recommendation versus teacher recommendation. Some colleges are very specific about which recommendation they want. Some colleges prefer a counselor recommendation. Some colleges prefer a teacher recommendation. It's part of the common application when a college says, when we're looking at Naviance and it said how many recommendations were allowed, that was referring to teacher letters of recommendation. There is a counselor recommendation that is part of the secondary school report form that goes along with the common application. So generally, if a student uses a common application, the counselor will write something that goes along with that application. If a student has 2 teacher letters of recommendation, some colleges don't require a counselor recommendation, so it may be just that the transcript gets sent without a counselor recommendation, but usually a counselor recommendation does go with the Common App. Yes?
So does the counselor recommendation, is it just kind of parrot what they've done? Or is it more like, or is it like a teacher application where they're like, hey, we love this person, they've done this?
So the question was, what's the purpose of the counselor recommendation, if I can reword what you said. So really it's to give context to what a student has done in high school. It may explain specific courses that they've taken. It may explain that they couldn't fit in a course that they wanted to take, but it wouldn't fit into their record. It may be that to explain that a student is a 3-season athlete and had to balance all of that with a demanding course load or a choice that they've made, or it really is to give kind of the bigger picture, where a teacher letter of recommendation really does talk about how they are as a student in the classroom. So some colleges prefer that because they want to be sure that the student's going to be able to be successful in the classroom in college. But some want more context, and they might prefer a counselor recommendation then. I know, none of this is black or white. My answer to everything is it depends. Sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, did you say something else that I was supposed to include? Yep. Okay. All right, so we'll be around for a few minutes to answer individual questions. If you leave here, because like I said, this is so much information. If you leave here and you get home and you're like, oh, I meant to ask this, you can just email us. The presentation, the PowerPoint is already posted on the website. So if you wanted to look at it again, see if anything triggered a question, that's fine. If you need to reach out and have a conversation on the phone, we're available for that too. Whatever we do. This is a really exciting time, but at times it can be feeling a little overwhelming, and we want to try to help it feel less overwhelming. And I don't think I did a great job of that tonight. I'm so sorry, but we're here to try to help. Thank you all so much for coming and for understanding about the time change. We really appreciate that.